Hey everybody, it's Luci Delgadio here, and I'm excited to say that this is episode number 25, 25 episodes now of Kaizen Talks. And following on now, guys, from the Defence Fest, what we spoke about, it's a area or a section of Kaizen which is dedicated to realistic martial arts, military martial arts, and combative martial arts. Okay, it's a naughty boys corner, if you like. And today's guest is a kapap instructor. We're going to talk about that. He also holds a 6th Dan black belt in karate. You guys saw him last year at his Kaizen debut. He had an awesome mat, a brilliant mat, and we had some really good feedback about him. His name's Adrian Volman. Guys, Adrian from Global Kapap, welcome. How are you?
Good, very well, thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Adrian. I'm gonna get straight. We'll get straight to it. Okay. Sure. Kapap, what is it? In a nutshell, explain what Kapap is.
In a nutshell, wow. Okay.
People who are not familiar with Israeli martial arts, we know we'll think, what's Kapap? What's that? We know what Krav Maga is, but what's Kapap?
Okay. So let me explain something. There's a huge confusion here of the difference between Kapap and Krav Maga. And reality is they are basically the same. Techniques might be slightly different. The syllabus is an open system rather than a closed, you do this, this, and this. But techniques are very similar. The goal is still the same. It's to go from A to C without getting in B. It's just to... supposedly the history written by Noah Gross is that Kapap was well before Krav Maga. It was the bigger picture, and Krav Maga kind of came from Kapap. They looked at the system, took a fighting system. IMI took a fighting system. Well, IMI amongst other people took a fighting system and used it for the military. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, besides being an open system, it's virtually the same. The differences are in how we show the techniques, how we get them across. That's it, really. Okay. I'd love to say that there's more, but there isn't. I know people will argue with me. I know people will say Kapap is this and Kapap is, but it isn't. You know, in all the years I've done it, it's Krav Maga without being overly technical.
I see. When did you start to? Because we have there's a 6th Dan in karate here as well. We'll come to that, but I want to talk about your life as a Kapap instructor. How did all that start?
Wow. Okay. Before I found Kapap, it kind of started in the military. I wanted to join the British military. I was turned down because of my height. And my mum actually said to me, I don't want you going off to the military, but if you're going to go off to the Israeli military, being Jewish and whatever. And I was like, didn't think of that. Went to Golders Green. I said, I'd like to join the military. They went, welcome.
Wow.
Within 2 weeks, I was off in Israel. 6 weeks, I was joining the military. Basically, the story is I was on training, and one of the teachers there, our sergeant, actually said to us, who knows self-defense? And stupidly, I put my hand up and said, I know karate, because I've been doing it since I was a teenager. And he went, oh, fantastic. He said, come and kick me. And there I got my first lesson in Krav Maga. Say no more from that. I learned a lot.
Say no more. Say no more.
Yeah, and it went on from there. I met an amazing instructor at the time, Moshe Galisko, and it kind of went on and on and on. And I was very lucky that I got to travel to Wingate. I got to travel and train with some amazing instructors in Israel, some very, very famous names. I spent many years living there, training, came back to the UK. And it kind of went from there. I'm still training. I still go back out to Israel nearly every year.
Yeah.
I'm training under Chaim Peer and Amit Himmelstein now. Chaim Peer is like the father of Kapap.
Yeah.
and I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky that I can still train with these guys.
Well, what's it like compared to training in the UK when you're training in the motherland of where the arts come from?
In the early days, it was very, very different.
Okay.
In the early days, now people are starting to get wise, and including myself, and we're all taking it up a level. But in the early days, we kind of, when you went to Israel, it was a wow. It was 4 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the evening training, hard stuff. It was just like going back into the military, and it still is. I mean, last year I got to train with Amit, and we went to Wingate and a few other places, and down on the beach in the sea, and it was amazing. But we try and replicate that now here if we can, but it's still not easy. The attitude here is very different to people who want to travel to Israel. They kind of know what's going to happen and they accept it. People who come and train here, if you do a course, if you push them too hard, they kind of go, oh, I don't really want to do that, it's not really for me, and they stand at the side. And it's a bit of a shame, but attitude is changing. It is changing.
Okay. So you started karate.
Yeah, long time ago.
Long time ago. It was a reason why you. What was the reason why you went into martial arts? Let's get this bit out of the way. Let's get this bit out of the way.
So being 5'0", and at school obviously much smaller, I was picked on a lot.
Right. Okay.
And at the age of 15, I retaliated. I'd been studying judo since I was about 13 or 14. It came to Woodford, where I grew up in London. I can't remember the instructor, but he was a former Olympic champion, and he opened a school up in Essex.
Okay.
And that was good training under him, but I went to use it at school and I just got thrown around like I didn't exist. By a specific boy. I still remember his name, but that's neither here nor there. I retaliated. I nearly got expelled. And then someone suggested, why don't you go and do this karate thing? Or, well, in fact, the story was, why don't you come with me to Crystal Palace and see this guy in Crystal Palace? And I was like, all right, let's go. And it was Sensei Noida in Crystal Palace. I was 15 years old and I went to watch a demonstration. There was a judo demonstration and there was a karate demonstration, and it just blew me away.
Yeah.
I watched him and I was just like, wow, I'd never, ever seen anything like it. A year later, I moved to Ilford, and I used to try and travel up to central London when I was 16 to travel. And then when I was older, I moved to central London, and I had the privilege of training nearly every other day, either at Marshall Street or the Oasis, or one of the places where Onoida would teach or Sensei Otta would teach. And I trained with them for many, many years. And that was the school of hard knocks. Every now and then we would go up to Liverpool and train with those guys, and you'd come back with broken fingers, black eyes. But it was, I've been training in karate since I was 15 and a half.
And are you still training? I'm
still training.
You still doing the karate and the?
I still do it. I still practice. I still teach. I love it. It's my wife hates me saying this, but it's my hobby. I've never made a lot of money from it. It's not a money maker unless you have many, many schools. I have a big school. I have a lot of students, but it's still not a money maker. Here in London, it's very, very expensive to rent. Yeah,
it's difficult, isn't it, to make a living in martial arts? It really. Same with me. Like you, my wife. She don't really. She sort of like just leaves me, lets me get to it, kind of thing. Yeah. Just go on, do what you need to do. It's a hobby. It doesn't pay the mortgage. It's, I've got to work for that. But you're quite right. But don't get me wrong. There are martial artists what do make a lot of money and have made a lot of money back in there, and good on them, I suppose. But good on them. But it's just one of them things. You've got you run a really good instructor's course. Let's go back to the KAPAP now. You run a really, really. You've got some really good instructors on your instructors list. Really good guys, honestly. Really at top of some of them. one of them, a very good friend of mine. I've known him for 30 years. He helped me in my early jiu-jitsu days. Nottingham lad, Mr. Terry Lee, Sensei Terry Lee.
Lovely guy.
Yeah, a great guy, great martial artist as well. You know, like when you got instructors like that high caliber, is it like, have you got like a vetting system kind of thing? Because reason why I asked this, Adrian, is I'm not saying all Israeli martial arts have this problem, but there seems to be a little grey area when it comes to getting an instructor's course. I don't know, Karen who works at Morrison's can just go onto line, sign up, pay X amount, and that's it. Within a week, apparently, Karen will be a self-defense instructor and out in the whole world free. Is there some sort of, unfortunately, that happens. That happens everywhere, and I'm probably not just in the Israeli arts, but in other arts as well. Is it? Do you have like a vetting system? How does it?
We do. I mean, you know, this is coming into our 11th year, and we've learned a lot along the way. You know, one of the things that was always a bugbear of mine was how easy it was in the early days to become an instructor, and to be quite honest with you, how meaningless it was, because you walked away, you know, with a certificate, but it meant nothing really.
It's what you pay for, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's what the people are buying. It's what they're buying, really. It's just
And we spent a long time changing that, making it harder and harder and harder, and over the years, obviously, our courses have got much smaller. We're not interested in quantity. We're interested in quality. We assess virtually everybody. I say virtually everybody because you can't do every single person, but virtually everybody who wants to attend one of our instructor courses. We always say, attend a course first. Let's meet you. Let's see what you can do on the mat. You know, let's talk. You know, we used to say, show us your certificates, but then we realized over time that also didn't mean a lot, to be quite honest with you. We've met some in Europe, some very high level instructors who, when they actually come to course, they'll stand at the side of the mat, just watch and try and tell everybody else what they should be doing, and they don't actually join in. And we're like, it's not really for us. It's not the material we want. We want people who really want to take away something. So it's quite a hard vetting process. Plus, this year has been a change for us. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been working on getting certified qualifications inside the organization, not just giving out CAPAP certificates. So now we actually do either SII certification, ICM certification, SLQ certification. So when they come and do a course with us, it's not just an instructor certificate. They'll actually get a professional teaching certificate, a professional, some form of security certificate. We all know, if let's take, for instance, I'm going to go off a little bit of a triangle here, but if something happened, and you had to go to court, and the judge says, well, what qualifies you to be a teacher? And you hold up your CAPAP certificate, it means diddly squat. He'll say, well, what qualifies you to be a teacher? Well, I've got this. No. What qualifies you to be a teacher? So now with our instructors, if they hold up an SLQ level 2 certificate, which qualifies them to be a sports low level instructor, but it is a form, and it's certified, the court will go, okay, well, that's a certified qualification. Or, you know, what qualifies you to, I don't know, you ascertain this person, you stopped them in the street and you held them, you know, what qualifies you to do that? Well, actually, I have an SIA certificate in physical intervention. Oh, do you? Yes, actually, and I've been qualified. And we kind of give this to all, or we've started to give this to all the instructors now, and all the old instructors. We're trying to get them retrained. We want instructors not just to have a CAPAP certificate. We want them to have certified qualifications as well, which kind of takes the organization up a level.
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely, fair enough. Is there anything wrong with today's self-defense, Adrian?
How long you got?
Oh. It's a question I asked. Who did I ask that to?
I'm forever.
I can't remember now, but I asked somebody, is there anything wrong with today's self-defense? Guy called Julian Mason, who my last guest, I asked him and he gave me a brilliant answer. Yeah, up and coming guy, Julian Mason is. Yeah. So, you know, you've been there, you've done it, you've trained in Israel, you've come here, you've got a brilliant portfolio, you've seen it all, you've been around for absolutely years. Is there anything wrong with today's self-defense, Adrian?
Yeah, the problem is that no one really teaches. I mean, they kind of do it a little bit in Israel, but no one spends long enough there. No one really teaches mentality. In other words, everyone can punch and kick who comes on a course, or nearly everyone can punch and kick. Let's not say everyone can, but nearly everyone can punch and kick. And some people can punch and kick harder than others. But unless you've got that mental attitude, you know, of someone attacks you and you've got two choices: run away or F him up.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that in your head, you got to run away, because he's going to hurt you. And the problem is in a lot of schools, and we try and instill it inside our organization, but it's hard. It's one of those things that you've either got it or you don't. And to put it into someone is actually a lot harder than most people think. You know, it takes a long time in the army to get that into you, you know, and let's say 90% it works and 10% it still doesn't work. And the problem is we're not in the army. You know, these people come once a week, twice a week, and they expect, you know, they want to do Krav Maga, they want to do Kapap, whatever you want to call it. And they want to go out there and they want to defend themselves. And we're saying to them, look, you know, I'm really happy you're here. I really want to teach you, but don't go looking for it. And if something comes to you, run. And people always look at me when I say run. They always say, what? Run. My last course I did, and if you interview any of the guys, you'll say, I one of the things I love doing is I put two road cones in different places in the gym, and we do stress exercises, and I make them run to these orange road cones. But what I do is I stress them out so much, I then move the cones and I tell them to run, and they're looking around the gym trying to find where the cones are, and I'm forever moving them every time they do an exercise, because it screws with their brain. And it's all about trying to find that exit under stress. You know, and all of a sudden they go, oh my God, you know, I ran to the wrong place. And I'm like, exactly. And you know, it's all right to say you can punch and kick, but if there's 5 of them and 1 of you, that's silly. You know, you're not going to punch and kick. You're gonna end up in hospital drinking out of a straw. You know, unless you've got the right attitude. And even then, even if you had the right attitude, I'm still not sure. If you're 7'4" and built like a tank, maybe. But
So Adrian, you know, you're not 7'4" and built like a tank. You're quite a small guy. You know, I don't want to sound rude. And I'm like, well, how do I get over this? People, you instructors you got some instructors are just absolute, or they are 7'4" and built like brick bloody houses, aren't they? They're absolutely massive.
Some of them are massive.
They'll walk into your dojo and they'll go, right, who's the teacher? And this very small guy comes along with a big smile on his face, and that's you, Adrian.
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And
they get hooked when I throw them around. Yeah. When I throw them around and I hurt them a little bit, then they're hooked. And they look at me like they'll lay there on the floor. They'll get back up again and they'll go, do that again.
Yeah.
And I'll do it again and they'll go, oh, that was good. Show me. Yeah. And that's when you got them, when they say show me, because it's not about me hurting them. It's not about it's not about ego. It's not about me being better than them. It's about me showing them that there's something that they could actually do, or something that they haven't done that they could do. And then all of a sudden they realize they could do it on anyone. And it's like that's for me, it's imparting that information. It's getting across that, you know what, it's nothing to do with size, you know, it's nothing to do with strength. It's here. If the mentality is right, you can all learn. And I always find it interesting that the majority of guys in Krav Maga are all big, and a lot of them are built like tanks.
they look
Yeah,
like
they want to
action
learn
men.
Krav Maga.
They look like action men, don't they? You know, the action men we used to play with the kid short.
Yeah.
You know, and that's your stereotype of a Krav Maga coach. Do you know what I mean? Then you come along and just you must ruin it for them.
At the moment, we're very lucky that we have 7 women inside our organization that are instructors. You know, as far away as Singapore and as close as Manchester. You know, and these women are just absolutely great. We've got a new club opening towards the end of this year. You know, and for me, that's more, you know, I mean, I'll talk about some of the guys inside my organization. Morris, Morris is an absolute gem. You know, Morris has been in the security industry for longer than most people in most people in this country. He's massive. He's massive, and all the guys that work for him are all big. But he goes to schools and he teaches it to children. Teaches you know, about understanding reality to children and to teachers. You know, and we're kind of pushing that across the organization, and we've got a few other instructors that do very similar things, and we've got a new program where we want to go into schools and colleges and universities and talk about, you know, talk about self-defense, not necessarily show it. Talk about, you know, it's a big thing at the moment. There's a lot of people that kind of say, well, you know, you can talk about it, but it doesn't make any difference. Well, it does actually. It does make a difference. You know, we need to discuss this. You know, we need to discuss so much. So my brain's gone dead at the moment. We need to discuss so much.
Okay. Going back to your 7 lady instructors, it's quite that's quite a lot, isn't it? It's quite
for us. It's fantastic, you know, and they're all dedicated. You know.
Yeah, I mean, lately, you know, it's been in the media. I don't watch the news much, but I know the poor girl what got murdered, and all of a sudden, everyone wants to do and rightly so, and there should be. I've been doing ladies self-defense since day one. Okay, but you know, lately I've been seeing a lot come through online and ladies self-defense and stuff like that. Same with the knife crime. When the knife crime was sky high, all of a sudden we got this trend of knife awareness, knife defense courses, etc., etc. How are you finding that with the ladies self defense? I suppose again, are you been getting more inquiries? Is it
we've been getting a lot of, obviously everything's closed as such at the moment because of COVID. We have been getting a lot of inquiries. I've actually had quite a few emails and some phone calls, and I teach privately as well, you know. Hopefully again soon in the park when we're allowed to teach with 6, even though it's not contact at the moment, which is a bit of a shame, but we can still use pads and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a tough one because there's a part of me that kind of upsets people and there's a part of me that doesn't. I always say, you know, I want female teachers, you know, I really think they're important. And a lot of them want to give female only lessons. And I'm always saying, look, if you give female only lessons, the women are only going to be used to defending against females.
Exactly.
And the problem is that might happen in the street, but more than likely it's going to be some big guy that's going to attack them. Not necessarily big, but bigger than me, you know. So big. You know, so we need to, you know, we need to have courses absolutely just for women, but there needs to be a few guys there, either instructors or senior level guys that can actually be there to help out and you know, put on some pads and, you know, get in there and get a bit nasty, you know, because realistically it's the only way. As I said, I've probably opened a can of worms just saying that.
It's an open discussion. It's an open discussion. No matter. I knew this when I started to begin this. I have another podcast, a jiu-jitsu one, just dedicated to jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I knew this. It's an open thing. You're gonna get people watching this disagreeing with you. You're gonna get people watching this thinking, yeah, great. You're gonna be people watching this who are gonna be inspired, and you're gonna get people going, oh, it's Kapap, Krav Maga. I'm not interested. Move next one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just no matter what you put out there, people will like it and people won't like it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's the way it is. So, mate, yeah, Phil, say what needs to be said.
I have a large
Do you know what I mean?
karate following, but most of the
Yeah,
guys are not interested in Kapap.
they're not exactly,
No.
and vice versa,
Yeah,
as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
vice versa as well. Right, I was gonna. Is a question for you. Is any self-defense better than no self-defense, would you say?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on the person. It depends on the mentality of the person. But even to know basic self-defense, so not necessarily how to punch and kick, but how to block and how to get away. How to see a situation. Watch it unfold and go, okay, this is unfolded enough. I need to step back.
Yes.
All those things are really important. There's a lot of there's yes. My answer is yes.
Of course, it's just one of these. I asked this, and that was a good answer, Adrian, because we get lots of, I don't know, boxer-size lessons, keep fit martial arts. Then all the ticks, and one of the tick boxes will say self-defense.
Yeah,
and that's where you got to like, ooh, you're understandable. Some people will go, ooh,
yeah,
careful there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's grey areas. Well, a good subject. I've got to stop calling it grey areas. I want to start calling it a subject area.
There are. I mean,
a question.
The problem is there's a lot of martial arts that talk about self-defense, but then you've got to read the first few words. It's a martial art.
Yeah.
It's an art.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it can't teach self-defense. They can. But again, it depends on the attitude of the teacher. I've been to some clubs, some jiu-jitsu clubs where the teacher's an animal, an absolute animal. And I wouldn't want to be up against him in the street. And I've been to some karate clubs where the teacher's massive, great punches and kicks. But when it comes to self-defense, just you can't do it. Same with Taekwondo. I've been to some Taekwondo clubs where the guy is just brilliant and other guys just, and a lot of it isn't down to the system. It's down to the teacher. Is the teacher good enough? Is the teacher got the experience? And that's the problem. Again, a lot of it is experience. I mean, I would say the majority of my experience comes from being in the army. Unfortunately, when I joined, the first thing I got to do after basic training was serve in the first Intifada in Gaza in the late 80s, and that was a lot of hand-to-hand combat, horrible stuff against adults and unfortunately teenagers, and it really opened my eyes and made me realize I either got to up my game or not come home. And it was a horrible situation, because at the time I also worked on a moshav and I worked with a lot of Palestinians, and I was kind of, when you're in the army you get certain amounts of time off, and on your time off you go home and work, and I would talk to the fathers and the sons and whatever, and I would say to them, it's horrible, and they would say, yes, it is horrible, what you're doing is horrible, but we understand, you've got no choice, you're sent there by the government, but it's horrible for us, it's horrible for you, and it was a terrible situation. But at the same time, it really made me look at self-defense. And realistically, there was only a few bits and pieces that really worked. All the fancy stuff got thrown away, completely thrown out the window. High kicks, high punches, it all kind of went out the window, because you can punch some people directly in the face, and if you're lucky, 1 out of 100 might drop, but the other 99 won't. They'll just look at you, smile, and then hurt you. So it became a lot of kicks to the shins, kicks to the knees. If you had to defend yourself, getting behind someone if you could, all this standing facing someone as we do in traditional sparring and martial arts was just totally useless. It doesn't work in a real life situation. It doesn't.
Yeah.
If you've got a weapon in your hand, it's different. But if you don't, it's it doesn't work.
Well, interesting points there, Adrian. Who's impressed you over the years? Who's inspired you as a person, as a teacher?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Yeah. Oh gosh, you want me to get my list out? Okay, I'm not going to give any names because I think if you start giving names, all the others start saying, "Well, hold on, what about me?
What about me?
What about me?" Otherwise, I'll have a phone call. I'll have loads of phone calls tonight about we saw your podcast and you didn't mention my name. Lots of instructors. I'll be honest with you, and I always say this to anyone who comes on one of my courses: if you can walk away with one thing from a course, from meeting an instructor, you've taken away something valuable. If you don't walk away with anything, then you need to rethink about going back there again. But I've learned a lot over the years. I've been very lucky to be invited to a lot of these old masters seminars that people go, "Oh, they're all old boys," and I'm like, "Yeah, all right." Wait until one of them grabs you and then call him an old boy.
The old for a reason, mate. The old for a reason.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So there's a lot. I admire. I would probably say 99.9% of the instructors I've trained under or worked with, I've got admiration for. I mean, the fact that they can keep going for so many years, and I'm still a baby in the martial arts world and in the self-defense world.
Yeah. Always learning. Always a student, aren't we? We're always a student.
Yes. On my certificates, we have a Hebrew saying, and in English it says, "Sometimes a teacher, always a student."
Yeah. Always a student. Exactly. We're going to finish off with this one, Adrian. What's the future plans? What we got planned for the future? Yeah.
Okay, we've been working all year in the background. Future plans, we want to certify all our instructors so they're legally above board and qualified to teach.
Yeah.
We want to take KPAP further. We've been invited to quite a few countries. We've got some big projects on the go. Obviously, this year has been on hold, but
write it off.
Hopefully next year. Next year it should all be go. Normally, I'm out of the country 8, 9, 10 times a year. I'm traveling around, and I have a group of senior instructors that run everything here. At the moment, I've decided now for the next few years, I'm going to kind of focus more here and get England off the ground, because Europe, we're doing very, very well. We're really off the ground. We've got quite a few clubs. We've got a big base, many students. I know everything's on hold, but we're doing really well. In the Far East, we're doing quite well in Indonesia and Singapore. And we've kind of, I feel like I've let a few things go here in the last few years. I spent so much time in Europe and not enough time here. So now I'm going to focus a little bit more here. We're working with a new company at the moment. One of our female instructors actually was one of the first female MMA referees in the world.
Oh, brilliant.
And Daniela Curzon. And we're kind of, she got ill a few years ago, bless her, and she's on recovery now. And she has an amazing company called ACE PCA, which we're working with, which is a security company supplying awarding qualifications and quite a lot of other stuff. I mean, this woman is just so incredibly talented. It's unbelievable. So very proud to be working with her. We're very lucky. We've got a lot of big names behind us. We've got a lot of, as you said, amazing instructors who've got so much to give. And what I want to do now is start trying to give back more to them. They're always giving to us. I want to start giving back to them.
It's mad because the instructors what you got are actually some of them are headliners at the Kaizen show, and it's remarkable. But admittedly, I didn't know how big you guys were.
We're not.
You're very low key, aren't you?
We are. We started. We started many years ago working with the armed police unit. There was a few of us that kind of joined forces, and then they went their way and I went my way. And I've always said, and I've always said it to all the senior instructors inside the organization, we're a slow moving organization that I want to build slowly. I'm not interested in building fast. I'm not interested in us making millions. We know it's not going to happen. I don't want that attitude. I want this slowly, gradually going up. I don't want it to just drop. I don't want it to disappear, and we're getting there. It's built its reputation. I think we've got a relatively good reputation. A lot of people don't know me as such, or they may have heard of me or see me here and there. But you mention one of our instructors or mention one of our names, and they go, "Oh, we know him." Yeah. I didn't know he was part of your organization.
That's what I got. That's what I got. Yeah, brilliant. How can people get hold of you, Adrian, and the Global Kebab? How can people get hold of you?
Well, the website is globalkebab.com.
Yeah.
All the contact details are on there. I'm pretty sure my phone number is actually on there, if I'm not mistaken. Should probably take it off, but it's on there. Email address is info@globalkebab. But yeah, we're I'm either online or I'm always available. My phone is always open. I'm not one of these guys that you can phone up and go, "Oh no, I can't." I'm forever getting phone calls, talking to people. I love it. Yeah. I love speaking to people.
Yeah. My phone's. I'm surprised my phone is still working today. I've spoke to about 4 or 5 martial arts teachers and plus business calls as well. Crazy, but it's good to talk. I talk for a living, so there you go. Adrian Volman, everybody, come and say hello to him at Kaizen. He did a great mat last year, and him and his team they'll be back on the Defence Fest section with some other military martial artists and reality-based and self-defense instructors. Adrian, thanks for your time today, and
thank you.
Much appreciated. Thanks for coming on and talking to everybody, and thank you for being number 25. Let's see if we can get
thank
to 50.
You. It's a privilege. Number 25. Same as my age.
There you go.
Same as my age.
Cheers, Adrian. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.